today I wanted to come on and compare 3 student study Bibles that I have. So we have the NIV Student Study Bible here on the bottom. We have the NLT Student Life Application Bible in the middle here. And then we have the ESV Student Study Bible on top. So the NIV Student Study Bible is from Zondervan, the NLT is from Tyndale, and the ESV is from Crossway. And I just wanted to do a comparison just to kind of see what the differences were in these study Bibles and what each one offers. So I do have full reviews of each of these Bibles, so I'm not going to go through the entire Bible like I usually do in a Bible review video, but I will post the links to the full reviews of each of these in the description so you can check them out. There are other student study Bibles available. I know there's one in CSB. I think there might be one in New King James. I'd have to check that out. I forget. But I know there's a couple floating around that I don't have today. But I just wanted to compare these 3, and maybe we'll get other ones in the future and can compare those at that point. So what I'm going to do to compare these is I'm going to go through one book of the Bible in each. Just think that makes it a little easier. So I'm going to go through the book of Philippians in each of these. So let me real quick turn there. So this is the ESV Student Study Bible that I'm going to take a look at first. Okay, and just go through this book to show you the features that each of these Bibles have. And I think it'll make it easier just take a look at one book for each. Okay, so here in the ESV Student Study Bible, we're going to have a book introduction. It gives you a little timeline at the top, and then it's going to go over author, date, and recipients, theme, purpose, key themes, and outline. Okay, and then we have a map over here. This map is showing us the setting of Philippians. And then over on this page here, we get into scripture. This is a double column layout. It is an 8-point font with about a 7.4 study notes. Study notes are here at the bottom. So you can see we also have cross references, and then we have these little did you knows. This one says the imperial guard that Paul mentions in chapter 1 verse 13 was probably the Roman emperor's group of elite personal bodyguards. Through his imprisonment, Paul was able to tell them about Christ. Because of this, Paul rejoiced even in the midst of his difficult circumstances. You can see too that this has 2 colors. It's kind of a copper brown color. To go along with it, break things up a little bit. Here we have a little chart, joy and rejoicing in Philippians. Let's just read one of the study notes. For example, chapter 1, verses 29 to 30 says, both suffering and faith have been granted to you as gifts of God. Suffering for the sake of Jesus is a great privilege. Paul again presents himself as an example of one who has maintained his joy while experiencing the same conflict that conflict is opposition from hostile unbelievers. It's just a little example of a study note for you there. We have a did you know here. Cross references down here at the bottom. And then we get to the end of our book of Philippians. So let's go ahead now and take a look at the NLT Student Life Application Study Bible. We're going to go ahead and flip back to Philippians again. Almost there. All right, go back one page here. Hopefully I can separate this in a somewhat timely manner. These pages do stick just a little bit. There we go. Because, as you can see, this is full color, and that's what I love about the NLT Student Life Application Study Bible. So that one is a feature that jumps out for this one, that it is in full color. So it's going to give you a little introduction to the book of Philippians here. We have at a glance, it talks about 2 themes here, joy in suffering and serving, and joy in believing and giving. We're also going to see over here some stats, which give us the purpose, author, original audience, date written, setting, and key people. And then it's going to give some key points here, talking about the themes of joy, humility and self-sacrifice, unity and Christian living, and then we get a timeline here across the bottom. Okay, we're also going to have a map here, location of Philippi, and then our scripture is going to be at the top here in an 8-point font, double column layout, and then we have our study notes at the bottom of the page. All right, so let's go ahead and grab a study note from here to read. Let's see, we have chapter 1, verses 12 through 14 is faith under pressure. Being imprisoned causes many people to become bitter or give up, but Paul saw it as one more opportunity to spread the good news of Christ. Paul realized that his current circumstances weren't as important as what he did with them. Turning his bad situation into a good one, he became a witness for Christ to the Roman soldiers who made up the palace guard and encouraged Christians who were afraid of persecution. We may not be in prison, but there are still many ways we can experience discouragement. How we act in such situations will reflect what we believe. So you can see in this one too, this is the Student Life Application Study Bible. So whereas the ESV Student Study Bible, the notes are going to be a little bit more academic, whereas, and just explaining the scripture, this explains the scripture too, but the purpose of this one is to tie the scripture into our own lives and apply it to our daily lives. So that's what you're going to see the main gist of the notes being in this Student Life Application Study Bible. We have a little article over here, How Do I Know God's Plan for My Life? Here's a little, the ruins of Philippi, talks about that, little archaeological note there. Study notes are here at the bottom of the page. I like how we have color on each page, kind of break up that reading, because there's a lot of information on here, but I feel like having the color does help break it up for your eye a little bit, make it a little easier to see. We have the chapter numbers are in a blue color along with the headings. We have a chart on training for the Christian life. And then we are at the end of Philippians with a key verse here, Philippians 4:13, on the page beside it. All right, so that one was an 8-point font, and the ESV Student Study Bible is also an 8-point font. So they're similar. Might be 8.5. I think it's 8 though. They're very similar in font size. All right, this is the NIV Student Study Bible. Let's go ahead and turn to Philippians there. Now this one's a 9-point font, so it is a little bit bigger than the other two. Not significantly, but it is a point bigger. So it's definitely a little bit easier to read font size wise. So this is the introduction to Philippians. It gives you some information, little outline of what you're going to see in here. So it gives you a key verse, talks about when you feel like despairing, turning evil into good, victory in jail, how to read Philippians, and then it gives you some high points in Philippians. Now the NIV Student Study Bible is not going to have as much the traditional study notes at the bottom of the page. They have some guided tour notes, so this will be a good one to do a read through of. And it also they do have some other little notes here. Like for example, this says chapter 1 verse 7, Paul's partners. It says, strong-minded though he was, Paul never worked alone. The warmth in this book comes partly from his confidence that the Philippian Christians were his partners, verse 5, sharing in God's grace. He counted on their prayers, verse 19. At the end of this letter, Paul returns to this theme of partnership, rejoicing in the Philippians' love and thoughtfulness. And then over here, like I said, these guided tours, this one is talking about Philippians 2. It's called Downward Mobility, What Keeps Paul Going. So it gives you some notes about that, and then it has a life question at the end. And then if you wanted to read through this Bible and go through all the guided tours, it does tell you to continue the guided tour reading plan, turn to page 1402. You can find the overall plan at these pages in the beginning of the Bible. So this one would be more, I feel like it would be a better Bible if you want to do a read through. Not that you couldn't in the other ones, but the other two are more traditional with their study notes at the bottom instead of having this read-through plan. So again, here we have working with God, a little note, a helper for Paul. We have Paul's favorite church, again ending with one of those life questions. Just to give you an example of a life question, it says, what does Paul single out for praise in the Philippian church? How are these qualities present in your church? Okay, and then we have women in the church and Paul's secret. And then we are at the end. This one also has a two-color scheme. Obviously, this one has blue. So the headings, the extra notes, they're in that blue. So that's nice too. Definitely, again, it's nice to have that color to break up the reading. So basically, if you're looking at these three Bibles, which one would be for you? It's really going to depend on your purpose. And I feel like I always say that, but it's true. It's also going to depend on what translation you like the best. So you have NIV, you have NLT, and you have ESV. I would say the NIV, I think, would be, like I just said, this good if you're going to do a read through, because it has those notes that kind of take you through the Bible, those little articles that you saw that I showed you. You could definitely use it for study too, not saying you can't do that, but I think that one would be great if you want to do a read through and just have some little extras in there to guide you through that. And there is a reading plan in there, as you'll see when I'm going to post the link to the full review, so you can see that in the full review. And then the Student Life Application Study Bible, I think that's a great one if you are looking to read about how to apply Scripture to your life. And I also like how that one's full color. That does bring that up a little notch for me there, because that's something that I really enjoy when I'm reading through Bibles. So that's a good one. The ESV Student Study Bible, really love the ESV translation. That one is a little more of a traditional study Bible with the academic sort of notes and explaining what the Scripture means. And the others do that too, but this one's more of like an academic, typical study Bible. And it is adapted from the ESV Study Bible as well. So it just really depends. Do you want a traditional study Bible? Do you want a Bible that you're focusing more on life application? Or do you want a Bible that you are focusing more on the read-through and general layout of Scripture? Also, the NIV, if you're looking at the difference in font sizes, the NIV does have a point larger font size, if that's something that you really need to keep in mind. You know, if you have trouble reading the smaller font, that would be the largest of the three. So overall, great study Bibles, great resources. If I had to pick a favorite, it's really hard because, like I said, they all kind of serve a different purpose. I probably would go with the NLT Life Application one just because it's colorful. I like that it has those life application notes in it, and I really like using my life application study Bible, and that's one that I can take on the go. But it's really close because, again, like, it really depends on what my purpose is for reading that day. The ESV Study Bible is also a wonderful study Bible, one of my favorites. So I have been using this one more for my study time, I would say. If I'm looking for that traditional study Bible, but one that I can carry with me, then I'd probably go with the ESV Student Study Bible. But I would love to hear, would love to hear if you have any of these and how you're using them.